Muhammad Ali's philosophy of courage, faith, and resilience. He was more than a boxer, more than a champion, more than a legend. He was a voice that shook the world, a spirit that refused to bend, a man who turned his pain into purpose. Muhammad Ali, born Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr., was a force of nature, a beacon of courage, faith, and resilience. His life was a battle, not just in the ring, but against the forces of injustice, doubt, and fear. This is the story of Ali's philosophy, how he faced the world with unyielding belief, unshakable conviction, and an unbreakable will to rise. Welcome to Muhammad Ali's philosophy of courage, faith, and resilience. 1. The making of a rebel. Muhammad Ali was born on January 17, 1942, in Louisville, Kentucky. A child of the segregated South, Cassius Clay grew up in a world that told him he was less. Jim Crow laws dictated where he could sit, eat, or dream. Yet, even as a boy, there was something different about him. A spark, a defiance, a refusal to accept the limits others tried to impose. I am the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was. This wasn't just bravado. It was a declaration of self-belief, forged in the crucible of a society that sought to diminish him. At age 12, a stolen bicycle led him to a local gym, where he met Joe Martin, a police officer and boxing coach. Martin saw the fire in young Cassius, raw, unpolished, but undeniable. Boxing became his outlet, a way to channel his anger at a world that judged him by his skin. By 18, Cassius was a Golden Gloves champion and an Olympic gold medalist, winning in Rome in 1960. He was fast, graceful, and relentless, a fighter who danced like a butterfly and stung like a bee. But the world outside the ring wasn't cheering. When he returned to Louisville, his gold medal didn't shield him from racism. A restaurant refused him service. A white gang harassed him. Disillusioned, he reportedly threw his medal into the Ohio River. The boy who had tasted victory already knew the bitterness of rejection. This was the seed of Ali's rebellion. He wasn't just fighting opponents, he was fighting a system. His philosophy began here. Courage isn't just standing up to a punch, it's standing up to a world that tells you to stay down. 2. The birth of Muhammad Ali. In 1964, Cassius Clay faced Sonny Liston for the heavyweight title. Liston was a beast, a former convict with a devastating punch and a reputation that terrified opponents. Clay, at 22, was the underdog, a loudmouth kid who seemed out of his depth. But he wasn't just fighting for a belt. He was fighting for his identity. I shook up the world. That night in Miami, Clay didn't just defeat Liston. He dismantled him. Liston quit on his stool after 6 rounds, unable to match Clay's speed, heart, or will. At 22, Cassius Clay became heavyweight champion of the world. But the real earthquake came the next day. Clay announced he had joined the Nation of Islam and taken a new name, Muhammad Ali. The world recoiled. To white America, this was betrayal. To the boxing establishment, it was a scandal. To Ali, it was liberation. He had rejected the name of his ancestors and slavers, embracing a faith and identity that gave him purpose. "I am free to be who I want to be," he said, "and I don't have to be what you want me to be." This was Ali's first act of true courage, not in the ring, but in the world. He risked everything, his title, his fame, his future, for the right to define himself. His philosophy was taking shape. Courage means standing for what you believe, even when the world turns against you. 3. The cost of conviction. Ali's new identity came with a price. The Nation of Islam was viewed with suspicion, even fear, by mainstream America. His outspokenness, his refusal to know his place, made him a target. But Ali didn't back down. He doubled down, taunting his critics with wit and charisma. "I'm so pretty," he'd say, grinning into cameras, defying the stereotype of the silent, submissive black athlete. Don't count the days. Make the days count. Then came the ultimate test. In 1966, at the height of the Vietnam War, Ali was drafted into the U.S. Army. He refused to serve, citing his religious beliefs and moral opposition to the war. "I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong," he said. No Viet Song ever called me in asterisk 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 R. These words echoed across the globe, enraging some, inspiring others. The backlash was swift. Ali was stripped of his heavyweight title. His boxing license was revoked. He was convicted of draft evasion, sentenced to 5 years in prison, and fined $10,000. At 25, at the peak of his athletic prime, Muhammad Ali was banned from the sport that made him. He faced losing everything: his livelihood, his freedom, his legacy. But Ali stood firm. He spoke at colleges, rallied for civil rights, and became a symbol of resistance. His courage wasn't just physical, it was moral. He sacrificed his career for his principles, proving that resilience isn't just enduring hardship, it's choosing hardship for what you believe. 4. The Comeback King. In 1971, after a 3.5-year exile, Ali's conviction was overturned by the Supreme Court. He returned to boxing, but the world had changed, and so had he. His body was slower, his legs less nimble. The butterfly had lost some of its dance. But his heart, his will, his faith, they were stronger than ever. It's not the mountain ahead that wears you out. It's the grain of sand in your shoe. Ali's comeback began with a fight against Jerry Quarry in 1970. He won, but the real challenge loomed. Joe Frazier, the new heavyweight champion. Their 1971 bout, dubbed the Fight of the Century, was more than a boxing match. It was a clash of ideals: Frazier, the quiet patriot, against Ali, the outspoken rebel. Frazier won by unanimous decision, handing Ali his first professional loss. But Ali didn't break. He kept fighting, rebuilding his legacy one bout at a time. In 1974, he faced George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle in Zaire. Foreman was younger, stronger, undefeated, a wrecking ball who had demolished Frazier. Ali, at 32, was the underdog again. But he had a plan: the rope-a-dope. He leaned against the ropes, absorbing Foreman's blows, letting him tire himself out. In the 8th round, Ali struck, knocking Foreman out with a combination of precision and heart. The world roared. Ali was champion again. His philosophy shone through. Resilience isn't just strength. It's strategy, patience, and belief in the long game. 5. Faith as his anchor. At the core of Ali's life was faith. His conversion to Islam wasn't just a rejection of his past. It was an embrace of something greater. The Nation of Islam gave him a framework to understand his place in the world, a reason to fight beyond the ring. Later, he transitioned to Sunni Islam, finding a deeper, more universal spirituality. Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. Faith gave Ali strength during his darkest moments. In exile, when he had no income and no fights, he leaned on his belief in a higher purpose. He spoke of God not as a distant figure, but as a presence in every struggle, every triumph. His faith wasn't dogmatic. It was personal, practical, a compass for navigating life's chaos. This faith shaped his humanity. Ali didn't just fight for himself. He fought for others. He visited hospitals, spoke to children, and stood with the oppressed. In 1975, after defeating Joe Frazier in the brutal Thrilla in Manila, Ali was exhausted, his body battered. Yet he spoke of the fight as a metaphor for life. You keep going because something bigger than you is at stake. Ali's faith taught him that resilience isn't just surviving, it's serving. It's using your strength to lift others, to fight for those who can't. 6. The toll of greatness. Greatness has a cost. For Ali, it was his body, his mind, his peace. By the late 1970s, his reflexes were fading. The years of taking punches, the grueling fights, were catching up. Yet, he kept going, driven by pride, need, and the weight of his own legend. What keeps me going is goals. In 1980, Ali fought Larry Holmes, a former sparring partner turned champion. At 38, Ali was a shadow of his former self. Holmes dominated, and Ali's corner stopped the fight after 10 rounds. It was a painful moment, watching the greatest reduced to mortality. A year later, Ali fought Trevor Berbick and lost again. He retired in 1981, his record standing at 56 wins, 5 losses, and 37 knockouts. But the real toll came later. In 1984, Ali was diagnosed with Parkinson's syndrome, likely caused by years of head trauma. His voice, once a booming force, grew soft. His hands, once lightning, trembled. The world mourned the loss of the Ali they knew, the brash, poetic showman. But Ali didn't mourn. He adapted. He spoke of Parkinson's not as a defeat, but as a new challenge. "My fight now is different," he said. "It's about living with dignity." Ali's resilience shone brightest in his weakness. He showed the world that courage isn't just in the victories. It's in the quiet battles fought without applause. 7. The global icon. Muhammad Ali was never just America's champion. He was the world's. From Africa to Asia, people saw in him a symbol of defiance, hope, and humanity. In Zaire, during the rumble in the jungle, crowds chanted, "Ali, Bome! Ali, kill him!" They saw him as one of their own, a man who stood against empires. When you are right, it's easier to do what's right. Ali's influence transcended boxing. He became a global advocate for peace and justice. In 1990, he traveled to Iraq to negotiate the release of American hostages during the Gulf War. Against all odds, he succeeded, bringing 15 captives home. In 1996, at the Atlanta Olympics, a trembling Ali lit the Olympic flame, a moment that moved millions. He was no longer the brash young fighter, but his presence was more powerful than ever. Ali's philosophy was universal. Courage and faith can change the world. He didn't just inspire athletes. He inspired activists, artists, leaders. From Nelson Mandela to Martin Luther King Jr., those who fought for justice saw Ali as a brother in arms. His life proved that one man, armed with belief, could shift history. 8. The lessons of Ali's life. Muhammad Ali's philosophy is a roadmap for living. His life offers lessons that resonate beyond the ring, beyond his era. Here are some of his most enduring insights. On courage. He who is not courageous enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in life. Lesson. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite it. Take the leap, even when the world says no. On faith. I believe in the religion of Islam. I believe in Allah and peace. Lesson. Faith gives you a why, a reason to endure, to fight, to serve. Find your anchor and hold fast. On resilience. You don't lose if you get knocked down. You lose if you stay down. Lesson. Life will knock you down. Resilience is choosing to rise again and again, no matter the odds. On purpose. If my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, then I can achieve it. Lesson. Your dreams are only as big as your belief. Trust yourself, and the impossible becomes possible. These lessons are not abstract. They are etched in Ali's victories, his sacrifices, his struggles. They remind us that we are all in a fight, not for titles, but for meaning, for justice, for ourselves. 9. The final bell. Muhammad Ali passed away on June 3, 2016, at age 74. The world mourned, but his spirit didn't fade. He left behind a legacy that burns brighter than any championship belt. He was the greatest, not because of his punches, but because of his principles. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. The hands can't hit what the eyes can't see. This was Ali's mantra, but it was more than a boxing strategy. It was a way of life. Float through adversity with grace. Strike with purpose and precision. See what others can't. The possibility of change, of growth, of hope. Ali's life was a fight from beginning to end. Against racism, against war, against doubt, against disease. He showed us that courage is standing for what's right, even when it costs you everything. That faith is a light in the darkest moments. That resilience is not just surviving, but thriving, no matter the odds. As you walk your own path, carry Ali's lessons with you. When the world tries to define you, declare who you are. When fear whispers, let it fuel you. When life knocks you down, rise like a champion, because like Muhammad Ali, you are more than your struggles. You are the greatest. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Muhammad Ali's philosophy. If this story inspired you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories of courage, faith, and resilience. And until next time, keep fighting not just to win, but to become.